A cool good afternoon to all. I B. Kushit, Assistant Professor, Department of Mechatronics, welcome you all for AICT sponsored 2-week online faculty development program on fostering ethics, moral values, character building in technical education. I take this honor to welcome today's resource person, Dr. Vijayshri R. Budyal ma'am has received PhD degree from Vishweshwaraya Technological University, Belgaum, Karnataka, India. She is currently working as a professor and head Department of Mechatronics, Sri Venkateshwara College of Engineering, Bangalore. Ma'am has published 42 international conferences and 8 international journals, which includes elsewhere Springer, and Scopus. She has coordinated and organized number of faculty development programs, project exhibition sponsored by AICT, KSTA, Government of Karnataka, and BTU. Madam has presented many technical talks. She has received Best Research Publication Award from VGST Karnataka in 2013-14. She has received a research grant by BGST Government of Karnataka, Bengaluru under technology related innovative project in the year 2015-16. She is a fellow Institute of Engineer, member of IETE and ISTE. Her area of research includes artificial intelligence, mobile ad hoc networks, wireless sensor networks, distributed mobile computing, and vehicular ad hoc network. We are very happy to have you as a resource person, ma'am. Welcome you, ma'am. Take over the session, ma'am.
Thank you, Kurshin Madam.
Thank you, ma'am.
I welcome all the participants and briefing my biodata to Kurshin Madam. First of all, I would like to thank AICT for funding the FDP in a topic which is non-technical with respect to the fostering ethics, moral values, and technical education, character building in technical education. As it is online, we are organizing this faculty development program in two phases. The first phase was from November 23rd to December 5th, and we started with the phase 2, that is from December 10th to December 23rd. And we do have a good number of response from the participant side. There were around 105 resistance for the phase 1, and almost all 90% of the faculty participants attended and the certificates have been distributed. For the phase 2 also, we do have the 117 participants across India, and most of them are taking a benefit out of it. As this topic is need of the hour, wherein sometimes we'll feel that even the ethics has to be taught. With ethics or the morals is a human characters which has to be imbibed or which has to be there by birth to think whether it is right or wrong. But in this fast growing world, the people has to be taught which is right and wrong to consider a humanity. So even though we are learning what is the ethics and the morals, but let us have a humanity amongst us so as to help the society as well as our friends and the relatives. Again, I take this opportunity to thank management, principal sir, for a consistent encouragement to conduct such kind of events, and special thanks to all the organizers, that is Department of Mechatronics, Sri Venkateshwara College of Engineering, to make this event both, which is a 1 month FDP, a grand success. So let me share my screen. Is the screen is seen?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good.
It's clear, ma'am.
Yes. So today my topic is with the professional ethics in education, wherein we are going to just look upon the contents like what is a professional ethics. In that, we are going to discuss about what is the ethics and morals. What do you mean by the profession? Then let us see what is the professional ethics that is required in education. When we say education, and we all being a teachers, it can be a school or it can be a college, again a medical college or the engineering college or any other colleges. We need to follow some professional ethics. And what are our roles and responsibilities towards the students, towards the colleagues? What are our roles and responsibilities towards the authorities as well as non-teaching staff? And the more important is to the society. Then we'll see what are the professional ethics with respect to the research. Then we'll just touch upon with a topic professional survival values post COVID 19, wherein the scenario of the teaching is going to be changed after the post COVID 19. So let us summarize at the end, and I have some references from which I have referred and I am presenting now. So let us just see what is a meaning of ethics and what is the meaning of a moral. As I was mentioning, all of us will have a moral values, which is by birth to think whether it is right or a wrong. So this morals define personal character, moral codes, and these moral codes are unchanging. But the morals may change from place to place and situations to the other situations. So this morals usually will be unchanging. Whereas when we consider the ethics, we say that it's the point to standards or codes of behavior expected by a group to which the individual belongs. The moral, the ethics is the standards or the codes which is defined by the organization, and the group of people need to follow, need to obey the professional ethics or the codes that has been defined by the organizations. Again, this code of ethics will change from one organization to the other organizations. Anyhow, most of the ethics which have been involved in many of the organizations will be the same. Sometimes, when we take a comparison of the ethics and the moral values, ethics overrides the personal moral. What do you mean by that? As I was saying, moral is a character which is known to us as a human being, whether it is right or a wrong. But even after knowing whether it is a right or a wrong, sometimes the ethics, which is a code of ethics, is going to override the personal moral values. If you take an example of a criminal defense lawyer who is supposed to defend a murderer, he knows that it is immoral, but the code of ethics will make him override his personal moral. So that's how the sentence is written with the ethics is going to override the personal morals. Now, ethics and morals, in case if it is not followed, what is going to happen? Why is it that we are learning the ethics and morals to be followed? The ethical standards are principles that, when followed, will promote values such as a trust, good behavior, fairness, as well as kindness, and many more humanity values. Whereas, in case if we are not going to follow the ethics or the morals, may lead us would lead us uh, would not be able to live amongst other humans, wherein we cannot live with the happiness, with the kindness in case if it is not followed. And as the ethics or the morals are not followed, we cannot make a plans and make execution of the same. And even we can see that there will be a number of attacks happening, which is going to murder one another and cannot survive for a long time. And again, if ethics and morals are not followed, would know who to trust and whom not to trust. It becomes very, very difficult. And there may not be a social life, civilized life, if the ethics and morals are not followed. So we have just seen what is the ethics and the morals, and let us relate what is the ethics and the morals in a profession. Let us see what is the profession first, then we'll relate what kind of ethics has to be followed in a profession. It's a profession means a job that needs a special training or a skill, especially one that needs a high level of education. For example, he can be a doctor, lawyer, a teacher, or any kind of a profession. So we see that your professional means can have a higher level of education, or he can be a skilled person. If he is a skilled person, then also we are going to term it as a profession. All professions are occupations, but not all occupations are professions. So as I mentioned, the profession is a one wherein we have a high level of education, or if he is a skilled in some events, then we are going to call it as a profession. All occupations may not be a professions. A job means a work for which one is regularly paid for his duty. That is what we are going to call as the profession. Who is going to be called as a professional? A professional person is a one who is a member of group of colleagues and will be following or will be articulated a set of standards and a values of the code of ethics is called as a professional. Related to work that needs a special training or education, or having a type of a job that is respected because it involves a high level of education, or it can be a training. Now when we consider a sweeper who is a very experienced, is can also be termed as a professional, which will be working for some organization and will be following some code of ethics, and they will be able to take the the problem that may happen in their profession. It's not only with a high level of education, if they are skilled for a long time and are able to solve any of the problem that encompasses, then he is called as a professional. As I was speaking with a code of ethics, what do you mean with a code of ethics? We do have a code of ethics for different organization or for a different institutes, wherein it will be framed by the organizations for the betterment of the institute as well as the employees and the society. So that is what we call as a code of ethics. We do find a code of ethics which is being defined by the IEEE, which is defined by the UGC, which is defined by each of the institutes, and the employees need to obey the code of ethics that has been existing for the organizations. So this code of ethics creates a profession sense of identity, and it identifies the issues the profession cares about and wants a new members to care about, communicates with those outside the profession what they can expect from its members. So why do we want a professional ethics or a code of ethics? A professional code of ethics sets a standard for which each member of the profession can be expected to meet. It is promised to act in a manner that protects the public's well-being. In case if code of ethics is not does not exist, then each one will have their own act to act upon. So as to follow, so as the employees will have to will have to follow the common rules. There will be a code of ethics which will be framed, and it is followed by the employees. A professional code of ethics informs the public what to expect of one's doctor, lawyers, accountant, or property manager. As long as professionals adhere to these standards, the public is willing to have their professional associations create and enforce their ethical codes. So, why professional ethics is required? A basis for values and visions. It's for sure that each of the organizations which are being run will have their long term visions, and so as to reach the long term visions, they need to have a code of ethics in which direction they will have to go ahead, they'll have to proceed. So as to motivate the employees also, if something recognizing work is done by the employees, it has to be identified, recognized, encouraged. So again, there will be a code of ethics. It is not that they can follow their own rules and regulations, perhaps demanded by the customers. As it is, if it is a business, then they need to include even the demands of the customers for a good relationships to stakeholders. Here, the stakeholders with respect to the education may include the students, will include the parents, will include the society. So it is to have a good relationship. Again, there has to be a professional ethics which has to be followed to avoid various exposures and risks. As I was mentioning, if anybody can act as of their own, that may not lead to reach the visions. So as to avoid the various exposures and the risks, we need to follow the code of ethics for the sustainability. So when we see that the code of ethics has to be followed, which are the common values which are included in a code of ethics? It's a honesty, integrity, transparency, accountability, confidentiality, respectfulness, obedience to the law. So, what are this honesty, integrity, transparency, accountability? So, let us see with one or two points, even though after we know all these professional values. What is a honesty? It's in Kannada we say it apramanikate. Whatever we do, we'll have to say it with a honesty or work with a honesty. If you are with the honesty, then that will automatically take you to the next level. So there is a quote by Gandhi: "There is no God higher than the truth." So if you are on a truthful path, I don't think so. Nobody can stop you. But if you start lying, then we need to patch up the first lie with number of lies. There is a saying again in Kannada: "ಒಂದು ಸುಳ್ಳಿಗೆ ಸಾವಿರ ಸುಳ್ಳು ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕಾಗ್ತದೆ." So we'll have to speak the truth or will have to be honest. And again, it is there is a Vachana by Basavanna which is says that Kalabeda, Kolabeda, Kusiya Nudiyalu Beda, Muniya Beda, Annarige Asaya Padabeda, Tanna Bandisabeda, Idiri Haliyalu Beda, Ide Antaranga Shuddhi, Ide Bahiranga Shuddhi. The meaning of this is don't try to steal, kill, don't lie, don't get angry upon, don't insult others. So, if you are honest, then it is going to be a great for your own. And earlier, we were attending a pravachana wherein most of the ethics were taught or the morals were taught in a pravachana indirectly through a small stories. But now in this situation or the newer generation may not be attending a pravachanas wherein they are going to indirectly teach what is the ethics, what is the morals that has to be followed by each and everybody. Now, this is a time wherein we will have to learn what is a moral and the ethics so as to be a good human being and what has to be done in a professional education. Now, the integrity, the next professional value is the integrity. It's integrity is doing the right thing even when nobody is watching. Most of the situations we see that the people will act even though what they are not. Acting will not lead us to a right path, but our will have to listen to our consciousness all the time whether somebody is there in front of us or not. So we'll have to try to do always the right thing irrespective of whether somebody is watching us or not. So that is the integrity. Then the next one is the transparency. Be more transparent to the activities that you are carrying out in a day-to-day life. To give an example, when we were studying in a MTech, there was a professor who was teaching us a difficult subject, and the marks that we scored out of 18, the maximum marks scored was very, very less. We were of 18 students, and the highest marks out of 25 was maybe just a 15 marks. But he wanted to push us with more number of marks by giving the assignments or conducting in the form of a quiz and many more activities. So for the person whoever scored 15 out of 25 was increased with 5 marks, and it was the same continued even for a person who scored just 5 marks out of 25. He was also increased with the 5 marks more where it counted to be 10 out of 25. So there was a transparency even while maximizing the marks. So I do still remember how it was done, and it was such a transparency was mentioned, transparency was followed. So if has the transparency has to be maintained in a professional education. Then accountability is the one wherein we are supposed to accept the responsibility of our actions and be accountable for our results. Take ownership of our own mistakes. Whenever we do commit our mistakes, agree that or accept that you have committed a mistake and try to improve upon for the further situations if it occurs. Then the confidentiality. There are so many matters wherein we need to maintain a confidentiality. So maintain a confidentiality with the students, with the faculty or with the colleagues whenever it is required. And always we need to obey to the law, obey the rules and regulations that has been governed by the law. One more very important thing is the respectfulness. We'll have to respect each and everybody, and respect can be shown with a different ways. It can be expressed by actions, by words, or many more ways to respect. So always they say that give respect and take respect. Whenever we are respected by somebody else, will feel safe and secure. So always give respect and take respect. So we need to respect for the others, maybe our students or our colleagues or anybody else, we need to respect. Why the interest in a professional ethics? It is as the occupations become more specialized, the ethical issues become more specialized. As we know that the profession is becoming more and more specialized, then we do have a different code of ethics for a different specialization. And we do find a number of professional societies. You all might have heard regarding the different professional societies, that is with respect to the IEEE or IETE or Institution of Engineers and many more in engineering stream. Similarly, there will be a number of professional societies which have been come up with the ethical codes to guide the members that belong to the professional society. So this, if we have a code of professional ethics, that will definitely regulate the oversight as well as it will protect the public. What are the ethical problems in profession? So there are different problems which will be facing in each and every professions. That is opposition versus rank, expertise versus authority, groupthink syndrome, capability for generating intellectual resources, issues on research orientation, social and political support. So we will have a number of issues, problems which will be faced by each one of us in our profession, and the situations will be different, but this code of ethics is going to give us a decision to solve the problems in a profession. Maybe if you take an example, in a business, like there are two employees wherein their salary has to be hiked, but the management, the business management will decide to rise the salary of a single person, and that will depend on the code of ethics that is defined by the organization. Maybe with a sales, if you take a sales as an example, if there are two employees and if they are selling any of the product, a person who has sold out a good number of products in a small or a short duration may get a hike and other person may not get a hike. So this is a code of ethics which will be decided by the organization and that will be followed by the institutes or the organization or the professional societies. How to improve the professional ethics? So this professional ethics can be improved by taking decisions. It is not only a decision of a single person, but it's his own decision as well as a decision of the stakeholders. And before taking a decision, we should understand the reasons for taking the decisions as well as the decision of the stakeholders or the others. Now again continuation of the same, improving professional ethics, selection of a good people, it's a cultural improvements, code of ethics and management rules, leadership competencies, goal orientation and objectivity, participative management, independent social audits and monitoring, formal protective mechanism for persons acting ethically, which we are going to call them as a whistleblower protection. Now, whenever we do work as a professions, we'll have to be with a good people so as to develop a good character. All of you know a story with a parrot. If a parrot is staying, if a parrot is made to stay with a butcher and his speak is always to kill and take a meat out of it. But if the same parrot stays with someone good, it will always respect. That story we do all know. So it's better always to select a good people so as we to be a good person. Then the other one is with respect to the profession is a whistleblower protection. I have highlighted again that there has to be, we'll have to open up whenever somebody is doing wrong. And they do say that the world is getting spoiled only because of the people, those who are keeping quiet even though the mistake is seen. So we'll have to have a whistleblower protection. Whenever there is a mistake committed, speak up and say that the thing, the wrong thing done by the other colleagues or the students or anybody else. So this professional ethics or the code of ethics is going to consider many of the stakeholders. It can be a relation between professionals and clients. Now in education, it is the students. So there has to be a relation or responsibilities which has to be taken up by the teachers towards the students. Relation among the professionals, that's a relation among the colleagues, a relation between employee and employer, relations between professionals and society. So let us take this one by one. So the first and foremost thing with a professional ethics in education, we need to learn or we need to know what are the teacher's responsibilities towards the student. So, as we all know, and we have also undergone that whenever we were students, we would always see how our teachers do or they act. So, the students will be constantly under the scrutiny of the students and the society at large. So, we'll have to behave in a dignified way so that our students who will be observing us will learn a good things. Teachers should be calm, patient, and should be communicative by nature and will have to be friendly to the students. Will have to be more calm, we should have more patience, and will have to express, will have to communicate to the students as and when it is required. Seek to make professional growth continuous through study and research. Whenever we want to teach something to the students, we'll have to upgrade ourselves. We need to study the technology that is coming up, make a breast ours of the technology ourselves, and teach the students the current technology. So we should have a professional growth in our study, through the study and through the research, so that we can update the students. The next one is express free and frank opinion by participation at professional meetings, seminars, conferences, etc. towards the contribution of knowledge. Whenever we do attend a seminars, conferences, or the meetings, be free and frank about the opinion of the topic that is being discussed. If we can discuss, then only we can make out the questions which has been raised by us, as well as it motivates others to take up our ideas, whatever we are suggesting in a seminars or conferences. Maintain active membership of professional organizations and strive to improve education and profession through them. As we all are the active members of number of professional societies, maybe IEEE, IIT, Institute of Engineers, and many more, let us be active member and let us improve ourselves to dissipate the same to our students. Participate in extension, co-curricular, extra-co-curricular activities, including community service. So it's the teacher responsibility is not only to teach the students, we should actively participate in curricular, co-curricular, and the main thing is the community service. And again, counseling of the students has to be done regularly, because all students will not be at the same level. Some of the students may be very strong by mind, some of them may not be, and all of the students will have come from the different background. So counsel the students regularly, find out the difficulties that the students are facing, and try to solve the problems that they are facing with. And if academic advice is required, advise them, suggest them regularly, so that they can improve upon. Counseling may be done regularly, and referral to proper office on campus. And one more thing is, we as educationists will be giving a letter of recommendations, give a positive recommendations, but accurate with regard to students' strength. Just simply do not give the letter of recommendations what the student is not. The continuation of the same, it's teachers and their responsibilities. Have a excellence in teaching. Earlier, when we started our career as a teaching, there would be a induction program for the teachers also, which would be conducted for 21 days. For the teachers, those who have a experience of less than 5 years. At that moment, we had a talk by the eminent personalities, and we also experience now that to teach 1 hour, a preparation of 3 to 4 hours is required. We can excel in teaching by preparing ourselves first, dedicate your time, and learn what has to be taught to the students so that you can excel in a teaching. The current knowledge, get updated yourself to a current growing technology so that we can upgrade the students. Nowadays, it's happening in such a way that we do have a number of internet facilities, so the students will be going through the technology that is coming up, and sometimes the students will upgrade us. We should not hesitate to learn even from the students too. Next is preparation and classroom communication. So we should have a effective classroom communication and a neat handwriting, neat block diagram, which was there earlier before the pandemic, but now it's all with the ICT tools. We need to have the diagram which is neatly drawn and which is clear to the students. So we'll have to prepare and present to the students in an effective way. Timely grading has to be given for the students. Sensitize students to the ethical dimensions of the management. Be a role model as a teacher to the students. And make the students to learn what is the outcome of the classes that you are going to teach them. So again, the teachers and the responsibilities is not only going to the classroom and teaching them, but we should understand the students' feelings, interests, as well as their needs. We, the teachers, are next to the parents. So we should try to understand the feelings, interests, as well as the needs of the individual student. And at the same time, there are some confidential matters which has to be maintained in a confidential way, maybe with the students or maybe with the colleagues. The additional points to be noted is avoid very much compulsion and abusing the students. We need to be friendly with the students. Be sensitive to all forms of diverse backgrounds. Discrimination and harassment. We are not supposed to discriminate any of the students by their gender or by their caste or by any other discrimination type. And the students may do some wrong thing. We should not keep that in mind and try to harass the students. We'll have to advise the students so that they improve in the mistakes whatever they will be committing. The next is the teachers with the colleagues. We amongst the colleagues, what are the points to be noted? Distinguish between duties to profession as an institution and duties to professional colleagues. We do have duties as a profession, and we do have some duties to our colleagues. So we'll have to distinguish what is our duties towards the profession and what are our duties towards the professional colleagues. Treat the colleagues of the profession in the same manner as they themselves wish to be treated. Give them a respect, trust, so that we will be always respectful to our colleagues. Refrain from lodging unsustained allegations against colleagues to higher authorities. Do not have a habit of complaining the colleagues to the higher authority. Again, amongst the colleagues, we need to have a cooperation, respect each other, support and be helpful, have a openness, have a transparency, maintain a discipline, refrain from the allegations against the colleagues, refrain from allowing the caste, creed, religion, race, or the sex in a professional endeavor. And what are our roles and responsibilities as a teachers towards the authorities? The authorities here is the society or the management. Discharge professional responsibilities according to the existing rules and adhere to the procedure and methods consistent with their professions. There may be a change in the roles and responsibilities or the rules as and when it is required, the authorities may change and we need to adhere to the rules with respect. Refrain from undertaking any other employment and commitment, including private tuitions and coaching classes, which are likely to interfere with the professional responsibilities. So, if you are in an education institute, do not engage a private tuitions or coaching classes, which, if we are engaging, which may interfere with the professional responsibilities. Avoid taking a private institution or the coaching classes. Cooperate in a formulation of policies of the institution by accepting various offices and discharge responsibilities which such offices may demand. Cooperate through their organization in a formulation of policies of the other institutions and accept the offices. Cooperate with the authorities for the betterment of the institutions, keeping in view the interest and in conformity with the dignity of the profession, should adhere to the conditions of the contract. Give and expect due notice before a change of position is made. Refrain from availing themselves of leave except on unavoidable grounds and as far as practicable with prior intimation, keeping in view their particular responsibilities for completion of academic schedule. So now coming to the next, it's teachers and non-teaching staff. Teachers should treat the non-teaching staff as a colleagues and equal partners in cooperative undertaking within every educational institution. Teachers should help in the function of joint staff councils covering both teachers and the non-teaching staff. The non-teaching staff are the supporting staff which will indirectly involve in a teaching. We, the teachers, will have to be cooperative and help them to learn themselves, to learn, make them learn by giving a guidelines. Because we, the teachers, will have to encourage the non-teaching staff to learn and indirectly make them involved to teach the students too. And what are the rules and responsibilities of teachers and towards the society? Recognize that education is a public service and strive to keep the public informed of educational programs which are being provided. Work to improve education in the community and strengthen the community moral and intellectual life. Be aware of social problems and take part in such activities as would be conducted to the progress of society and hence the country as a whole. Perform the duties of citizenship, participate in community activities, and shoulder responsibilities of public offices. Refrain from taking part in or subscribing to or assisting in any way activities which tend to promote feeling of hatred or enmity among different communities, religions, or linguistic groups, but actively work for a national integration. So we teachers are also responsible for the society. So what are the professional ethics when we do our research? I think so this topic is completely covered by one of the resource person. What are the ethics that has to be followed up whenever we pursue our research? So the first and foremost thing with the research is the plagiarism. The most commonly found misconduct of the research is a plagiarism. The meaning of the plagiarism here is we do copy it from somebody else and publish the paper in our names, where no citation, no reference is taken from wherever we have referred from. And we do have a number of softwares available which is going to find out the plagiarism. What percent you have copied from which paper and which paragraph will be shown. If there are any words, consecutive words with 3 to 4 words, then also it will show that it is plagiarized. And most of the professional societies like IEEE and many other will accept the papers if the plagiarism is less than the 10%. Again, depends on a code of ethics that they have developed in that professional society. It varies from one professional society to the other professional society. It's very easy to copy and paste to our paper, but at the same time, we'll have to think of the ethics of the research. It's again the fabrication and falsification. non-publication of a data, faulty data gathering procedures, poor data storage and retention, misleading authorship, sneaky publication practices are the most common misconduct in a research. One more point to be noted here is the misleading authorship. Do include the authorship for any of the publications if they have directly contributed for the research. Otherwise, it is unethical to include somebody's name who has not directly involved in the research work. So these are again the same points with respect to the research. So I'm just going to skip this. Okay, along with this, I just wanted to highlight what are our professional responsibilities so as to survive in such a situation as we all are facing the post pandemic and what we need to do for our own survival. There will be a lot of less to go around and far fewer openings, barring perhaps a handful of our fields. We know that there are not good job opportunities with a post pandemic. There are fewer openings, and what is our responsibility to survive in a profession? The first and foremost thing is we need to alter our sense of values and we need to adapt to a new personal qualities. What is that? It is a mutual empathy. Try to understand the people in such a situations, have a good relations, have a good conversations with the people so that we can understand them and go ahead with a profession. We need to have a personal qualities in the post-pandemic world of a profession. We need to have a new mindset, a different way of thinking about ourselves, around us, and even a wider world. So have altered sense of values as well as new personal qualities so as to survive. And we need to adapt, should be flexible, and we should have a capacity to learn, relearn ourselves as the technology is growing. And this situation, the post pandemic situation, it's only the technology which is making the whole world to get communicated by means of the growth in the technology. So we need to adapt ourselves. We should not be adamant to stick over to the same rules. We need to get adapted, be flexible, and we need to relearn so that we will survive in our profession. It's not only getting adaptability or the flexibility, we need to have a leadership skills. We ourselves have to get motivated, initiate, and take a leadership so that we can motivate others who are sitting far off from us. It becomes very difficult to make the people work from their places until unless we do have a good leadership qualities or the good leadership skills. Understand the value of our digital world. It's not only chalk and a board nowadays. We need to initiate a refreshed pedagogical initiatives as ICT is providing a good platform for the post pandemic with a different apps wherein we can reach anybody at any time and from anywhere. So let me summarize my talk with a professional ethics in our education. Examination of professional ethics is important for the profession as an institution and for the individual professionals. Solving problems can be very difficult sometimes, but we need to take a decision of our own and by considering a decision of others too. And we should have a better ethical decisions which will which making can come from our education, practice and experience. Education is needed to supplement a code of ethics. So, after summarizing, I would like to show you some images. Is it difficult to be a teacher? I feel it's not very much difficult to be a teacher because life is very difficult and it's challenging when we see a number of situations which are being faced by many of the people. So these are few images which I would just like to share, which are heart touching images. We can see a person carrying a loads of weightage on a bicycle to lead his life. We have seen our kids studying in front of a laptop, but there are people who will be, which will not be making them to use a laptop, but still they have enthusiasm to learn themselves without the laptops or the classrooms. Again, it's a board of the same games. We have heard the kids saying that they are very much bored of playing the same games. But there are children where there is no option for them and they are playing with whatever they have or the surrounding things. As we can see, a kid playing with a skeleton. There is a old lady who is carrying a heavy weight to survive herself. And there is one more image who is a military person who is far off from everybody. He is staying alone to safeguard the country. Someone will be thinking of getting a Adidas shoes instead of a Nike or instead of Nike Adidas shoes, but some people will not have any kind of a shoes, but they will have prepared their own, as you can see, a bottle which is broken up and that itself is used in the form of a shoes. So this is one more image which depicts a person with a single leg is trying to teach a baby to ride a bicycle. So there are so many difficulties which are faced by the people, but Many a times we will be complaining about so many things. So let us stop complaining or complain less and give more. So these are a few references I have referred, and it's all from the Google, whatever that has been presented so far. As we are not experts with the either the human values or the psychology, it's only out of our experience and through this references I could present. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, ma'am.
If anybody has got a doubts, can share it in a chat box. Again, as I mentioned, out of my experience, I can clarify.
I request participants to have can ask any questions.
I don't think so. There are any queries.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, the session was really good, ma'am. You made us to understand how professional ethics plays an important role in education, as well as how a professional ethics plays an important role between a teacher and a management, teacher and a teacher and a non-teaching staff, teacher and a student, and teacher and the society, as well as you have explained how professional ethics plays an important role in research, as well as a professional survival is very important during this pandemic situation and a digital era. Thank you, ma'am. I take this opportunity to thank you on behalf of management, department, organizing committee, participant, and own behalf. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, madam. Shall I wind up?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. We'll wind up, ma'am.
Okay.